Hey there, friend. Chances are, if you're listening to the Inventory Genius podcast, it's because, well, you really want to become an inventory genius. If that's you, then let's stop just listening. Let's stop just collecting information. Let's start doing. I want to invite you to grab your copy of the Inventory Genius book. I wrote this book with you in mind. It delivers bite-sized actionable steps that will help you use your inventory to create more profit and keep more cash in your business. This is a really easy to read book. In fact, I designed it specifically for the busy inventory-based business owner. It only takes about 2 hours to make your way through, and you're going to leave with practical bite-sized steps so you can start implementing the principles of the Inventory Genius method immediately. Head on over to Ciara, Stockeland.com, where you can grab your ebook, your Audible version, or the printed copy. Enjoy! Hey friend, welcome to the Inventory Genius podcast, where we work together here to make you an inventory genius. We talk about profit, we talk about cash flow, and we definitely talk about your paycheck. Because at the end of the day, it's all related to your inventory. Let's go. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Inventory Genius podcast. I am your host, Ciara, and today's going to be a very fun interview because I am handing over the mic. I still am going to have the mic, but I'm not going to be in control of the mic. Today, my really good friend, Claudine, is here. We have chatted with one another on her podcast, my podcast. She's so much fun, and she asked if she could jump on and just interview me and talk to me about something, a project that I worked on earlier this year. And so I'm going to let her introduce herself, and then she's going to take over the helm of the ship. Hello, how are you?
I'm good, Ciara. Thank you so much for allowing me to do this. You're such a good sport. And as you know, I'm kind of a project hog, especially when it comes to interviewing. So
Yes, this is going to be good.
yes, I'm very excited. So I have a podcast called Get Your Book Seen and Sold. And I like to help authors to get their books seen and sold, just, branding. And um I love to talk to authors who decided to self-publish and that whole process. And we had interviewed a little while back about your book that came out, Inventory Genius. And we've actually interviewed a couple of times.
Yeah.
So I'm sure your audience already knows what a businesswoman you are and how you like to take on new projects. Nothing scares you, obviously. And with Inventory Genius, that was a book that is really helpful to retail owners. And I was hoping, and very powerful. Um it's not a huge book. It's a very powerful book that really helps to get to the heart of how you can turn your business around. So I was hoping that we could talk a little bit about why you decided that you needed the book out there and
Mm.
how you decided to self-publish.
Okay, let's talk about it. I love it.
So talk to me. So why did you feel the need to write the book? And it
Yeah.
really aligned with what you were doing as a business owner?
Yeah. So, I've always wanted to write a book. I don't know why. I think I just felt like it should be a bucket list item, like forever. I thought, one day I'm going to write a book. My son, who I'm going to connect him with you, he's written 2 books. He just published his second novel. It came out this week, actually. Yeah. So you need to talk to Harrison. He's 20 years old. He's
Nice.
self-published 2 books. So last year, as he was getting ready to publish his first, I said, Harrison, I think I'm ready to write my book. I'm going to start when we're on Christmas vacation. And he said, Mom, if you have a book to write, you need to start now. Don't wait. Don't put it off. You just start writing. And so I did. So I'd always wanted to write a book. I finally knew what I wanted to write about last year.
Mm.
After working with hundreds and hundreds of inventory-based business owners, hearing the same questions over and over, helping them through my coaching and consulting to really find financial freedom, peace of mind, profitability. I thought, what if I could take this framework that I use with every single client, no matter their size, no matter their time in business, if I could take that framework, write it about it in a book format, intersperse my crazy story with their amazing stories, I think I could help so many more people because my schedule is very limited. I can only coach and consult so many people, right? But a book opens up
that knowledge for really anyone, anywhere. So that's why I decided to go after it.
So the book was published last year?
February of this year. I started writing it last year. Yeah. So February 2023 is when it was published.
Amazing. Okay. And then how long did it take you from inception of idea to finish writing the book, would you say?
Yeah. So I followed my son Harrison's method of, he's very, very disciplined when it comes to his writing. And so I followed that method of every day I'm going to write. So in the morning, I do my devotions, have my quiet time, have my 3 cups of coffee. And then I would just write. I would write a little bit, try to write a chapter, try to write, some words, whatever that would look like. Because once I started, then I wanted to just finish it. Like, I don't want to drag this on. I want to get it done. So I would say I started probably October, finished writing it early January is when I sent it to the editor for the first time.
Wow. And then you published in February.
I did, yes. I had an amazing editor. She was very punctual, and it is a smaller book, so that's nice too. And I read a lot, so I think I knew the voice that I wanted in the book. So she didn't have to do a lot of that kind of editing. It was more the grammar, the spelling, formatting, things like that. So the editing job wasn't really burdensome for her, and she just did a great job. So we went through 3 different edits, and then we published at the very end of February.
Gotcha. So we talk a lot on my show about distribution and how important that is when you've decided that you want to publish a book. So can you speak to that a little bit and what you used in getting your book, Inventory Genius, out into the world?
Yes. So I self-published, like you mentioned, which that's just my style. I just wanted to be in control of it. It's a smaller project, and I have a really great customer base and a good list. I've been teaching coaching. I have a free Facebook group where I have thousands of members. So I've been delivering content for many years. And I have a great list that I knew would be interested in having that condensed content, that condensed framework, which I know a lot of authors don't have that, right? So they publish their book and then they have to build their list. I already had a bit of a list. And so when I decided to distribute, we just built up that anticipation through my email list and my Facebook group and Instagram reels and things like that. And then I launched it and had a great grand opening, if you will. And now it's just a resource that I talk to everybody about. It's just a simple way for people to connect with me. Like, just get a copy of the book.
Yes, yes. And a lot of people don't really think about the fact that when they write a book, it's helping with their expertness, right? It's
Yes.
something that they can add to their platform in terms of
Yeah.
what they offer. So is it something that you hand out to customers when you take on a new client?
Yeah, so I found a lot of the clients I take on have read the book, and that's actually how they find me. So a lot of people find me now through the book or the podcast or both, they're kind of interchangeable. But I take copies with me. I travel a lot. If I go into a boutique or an inventory-based business or a salon, I'll hand out a book to someone and say, "Hey, I'd love to just give you a copy of this." Audible version is available, and oftentimes I'll use that as a promo if I'm speaking. I'll let everyone in the audience know that they can get a free copy of the Audible version. So I use the book really as a marketing tool, which I'm guessing is what you teach, right? Like, don't use the book as the product you're going to make millions from. Use the book as a way to get your message out to everybody as a great marketing resource.
Absolutely, and especially as a nonfiction book. And I'm
Right.
wondering if was there anything that you found specific to writing a business book versus another type of book?
Yeah, I think writing a business book and interweaving your story or antidotes into it really helps businesses, even if they aren't specific. So I had a retail business. I also did wholesale distribution. Um, Most of the people picking up the book would probably be a retail store of some sort, but a business owner that even doesn't sell inventory, because there's antidotes and there's my business story woven in, really becomes a tool that they can pick some gems out of and they can use. And I think that's what's so interesting with a business book versus maybe a novel or something like that. It can become a resource guide. I want the Inventory Genius book to be a household name. So if you own a small business and someone says, "Oh, I'm making all these sales, but I don't know where the money. Oh, have you read the Inventory Genius? That really helped me. I want it to be a name that just rolls off the tongue of anyone who's a small business owner, specifically inventory based. And I think that's the beauty of writing a business book.
Right. And going back to the other businesses that you've been a part of, can you tell us the story of how you kind of would have liked to have your book back then?
Yes.
And your issue, how you came to realize that this is an issue that wasn't just yours, that other people needed help with this as well, your own story.
Oh, yeah. I'm so glad you asked that because I think as small business owners, there's so many times, and there was for me for sure, where I just said, I'm willing to do the work. I just don't know what work to do. And I start the book by telling that story about myself and about a client who worked, talking about Jackie's story in the first chapter. She worked really hard. She's not lazy. Like there was nothing wrong with her work ethic. She just didn't know what the right work was. And so I wish I would have had a simple guide like this where I could say, okay, here's my problem. I'm going to look, pull my Inventory Genius book off the shelf, look at chapter 3, read that again. Oh, that's right. That's what I should be focusing on. That's the right work to do in this circumstance. And so that's what I really tried to do with the Inventory Genius, to take my framework and condense it in an easy to read format where people can say, oh, I'm going to go back to chapter 6 and reread that. My balance sheet, I'm really struggling, or I still don't quite understand the open to buy. I'm going to look at chapter 3 again. And it's almost a resource guide that's very easy to read. So it's not a technical journal. I'm not technical by any means. I'm not scientific by any means. I want it to be a simple guide because that's what I would have liked to have.
Absolutely. And it helped you. You worked in the retail business for a very long time. Do you miss it?
No, not really. No, I miss aspects of it less and less now as I'm farther removed, right? Because as you get into other areas of business in your life, I think you just grow a passion for wherever you're at. I absolutely love what I do, helping people. Someone asked me recently, would you ever open a store? Or I said, I don't want to ever touch inventory again. I will help other people touch it well. I do not want to have my own inventory. I am past that stage of life. So I don't miss it, but I miss aspects of it. I'm very thankful for what it taught me. I'm thankful for the opportunity I had to be around so many amazing people as customers, and just for the richness it gave to my life. But I'm very happy with the chapter I'm in.
That's great. So, in terms of your business, what do you offer potential clients, and how would they get started with you? What does the process look like?
Yeah. So I am a profit strategist for inventory based business owners. And what that really means is I help people that sell inventory use that inventory to create more profit and, more importantly, keep more cash in their business. So, a lot of my clients have very high volume. They have been in business for many years. Maybe they're second generation, they're buying it from their parents, they're taking it over. Maybe they have multiple locations. They're smart business people, but in this day and age, more than ever, business is very expensive to run. And if we aren't intentional, that money that comes in will just as easily flow out. And I want to help people use that inventory that they have to be as smart as possible in how they manage their cash flow. And so that's what I really do. We dig into the numbers, we take a look at where they're missing profitability opportunity, where I can help, where there's some holes, where there's gaps. Sometimes it flows into things like the way that we set up the team, or there's other aspects to business that come in, not just inventory, but it's all related in the numbers. And so that's what we do. We just dive in and we look for that profit.
That's great. Is there any time that you come across a client when you're looking at their information and you just can't figure out what's wrong?
No. No, I know
I
that
love that
sounds very
honesty.
like,
Honesty.
no, because here's what's interesting. I mean, I'm sure you find this as you're helping authors. The problem might present itself in a different way. It might have a different packaging, but there's only a select amount of problems in every industry, right? So when it comes to financials, when it comes to, okay, I have a lot of sales, but I can't keep my cash, or I don't know what's happening with my profit, or there's only a few reasons for that. And so I can dive in very quickly. I can look at a massive mess of numbers. Maybe financials haven't been done properly. Maybe we don't have any finance. Maybe I just took on a new client. None of their inventory has ever been entered. Doesn't bother me. We'll figure it out. So I'm able to go in, quickly digest. I have no emotional attachment, which really helps, right? And we can nail down what that problem is, and then we can go to work.
That's amazing. And I remember from the book and the details in the book, the examples that you use are simple, so anyone can understand them. And one of the things that you address there is the profit and loss statement, the income statement, and that, it doesn't really matter how great your sales are. What really matters is where your profit is.
Yes, that is something I just love to help owners understand. We are in a world where we want to chase what everyone sees. And what do they see? Volume of sales. I want to be a seven-figure business owner. I want $1 million business. I want multiple locations. The neighbor has it, the lady down the street, the business owner on Instagram. And so we chase top line revenue. I want people to chase profit. I don't care if you make $1.5 million. If you don't take a paycheck, what does that matter? I'd rather have you be $1 million business or a $500,000 business and say, I take a consistent paycheck. I have no debt. I provide for my family. I don't work weekends. That's what profit does for us. And so we talk a lot about that in all of my circles. How can we chase profitability instead of gross revenue?
Absolutely. So someone who's listening who wants to get started down this road with you, and again, your listeners are already listening to you. They love you. But specifically for this service, how would they get started?
I think the best way would be to jump over to the website, ciarastockeland.com. If you're not ready to sign up for a commitment of coaching consulting, I have so many free resources. I mean, if you go to my resources page on my website, it's all categorized. Do you want to learn about cost of goods sold? Do you want to learn about profitability? Do you want to learn about financials? So look for those articles, look for those podcast episodes. If you're like, you know what, Ciara, I've done that and enough's enough. I am ready to just do the work, the right work. Then you're going to want to sign up for my wait list, which you can also do on the website. My mastermind is quite often full, but when a spot opens up, I just go down the line on that wait list and jump, let that next person jump into the group where we can do coaching and consulting. So there's free resources. And then, of course, jump onto the wait list. And when that spot opens up in my program, I will be reaching out.
And you never get tired of
I
the
don't. I
subject.
love
Yeah.
it. I love it. Even last week, there were so many times where I had coaching calls. I do a lot of my calls on Tuesday. So I back to back all these people. Everyone has inventory, but aside from that, they're all different. Everything else is different. I went from talking to one lady who I worked with for a while who had just found out about a diagnosis that's really scary. Like, this is a personal conversation we have, but her business is intertwined in that, right?
Yep.
I talked to someone who had just made $1 million and we celebrated that together because I will never be jealous of you. You can share all your financial wins with me. We talked to someone else who is really struggling and they're so overwhelmed with the debt, and we problem solved that out. Every client for me is so different, even though the solutions might look very similar. And so I just never grow tired. I love what I get to do. I'm very blessed with what I get to do.
Wow. They're very lucky to have you. And I know you have a I have trouble with this word breadth, but breadth. I want to get that D in there, that the breadth
The
of
breath.
experience bleh,
Yeah.
with business. And it's, obviously you ran a business. Now you've written a book. One of the threads that runs through those things is promotion and marketing. And I'm wondering if you could share, how you did with marketing your book, because last we talked, you said you wanted to go a little old school. Like you want,
Yeah.
instead of all the bright, shiny toys of Facebook ads and Amazon ads and all the stuff that you can do, you wanted to do more of a one-to-one. And I'm wondering how that worked for you.
Yeah. So still in the experiment, we have a month left in 2023. And I think it's gone phenomenally well. I am old school. I also like to challenge myself. I really like to challenge the norms in anything. I love being a disruptor. And so I said, you and I were talking, how are you going to get the book out there? And I just said, I'm just going to tell people. I just think we underestimate just telling people and asking them, right? I have a book. I know it would help. It's $9.99. Would you like to buy it? Right? Like,
Yes.
just tell and ask. My wait list is full. My client roster is full. I know I'm helping people. I think the right people that are supposed to read it are reading it. So I don't regret my decision at all. I don't know what I'm going to do for next year because I would love to make sure everybody sees it, but I really like the relationship marketing. I'll be speaking at a couple big conferences next year. So of course I'll talk about the book. And then if you have a good book, people share that, right? How often are you told by friends, you need to read this book?
Yes.
And so I think producing a quality piece of content will market itself. I put
Hmm.
a lot of time and thought into the book. I think it's very easy to read. It's a short read, like 2 hours. You can read the whole thing. You're going to get practical steps from it. There's no fluff in it. So I think people will market it for me. That's my
Yes.
hope. What
Yeah,
do you
you bring
think?
up.
Tell me what you
No, I
think.
agree. No, I completely agree. And I think and the other thing about your book is that it's like my book in that it's a very niche subject.
Yes.
So how do you find those people? And you're already in the world when you're producing a nonfiction book, a business book, there are specific people who are looking for that help. So the book for you is, and it, in addition to what you offer as a business owner, and it helps to add to what you're already offering.
Yeah.
It might not be the end in and of itself, but you still want to get it out there. And you're bringing up the point that it never ends. And that's something that we don't really talk about with nonfiction books, with book marketing. You don't know what's going to come up in the world that's going to make your book, which may be out there for 5 years. Oh my gosh, it's so relevant right now.
Yeah.
So you're always going to be promoting, you're always going to be marketing the book, and you stick with it because you just never know when it's going to be, the most important thing going right now.
Yeah, I agree. And I think, you know, there's always small businesses opening. There's always people pivoting. Now more than ever, people want to keep more of their money, right? It's important because business is hard that we're as good of a financial steward as we possibly can be. There's limitless. I mean, and I sell books, overseas too. So the Kindle version or the Audible version. I mean, there's business owners all over the world. There's just lots of people. I have not tapped into even, the tip of all of the people that I could serve with the book. So I think exactly what you said. If you have a business book, it's just they're timeless if they're written well and a relevant subject.
Absolutely. And people want to be happy too. They want to be happy in their careers, they want to be happy in their personal life, and if you can provide a resource that allows them to do that, it's always going to sell well. And speaking of, what's making you happy these days? What's
Yeah.
what's Ciara doing on the outside of
Oh
business?
yeah. So many exciting things. It's been an awesome year. Ironman has been a big focus for me. So we competed a couple times. I did a full Ironman in April and then another 70.3 in the middle of the year. And at that 70.3, my daughter and I both qualified. She's 18. She also qualified in Coeur d'Alene for the World Championships, Ironman World Championships in October. And
Wow.
so me as a 45-year-old lady and my daughter, 18 years old, both competed at the World Championships, which honestly was so cool because this was the first year it's been an all-female race. So it's always
Wow.
been mixed before, and this year it's all female. So the first only women event, World Championships in Kona, my daughter and I were able to race together. So that was pretty amazing.
That
So I
is
had a great year.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how did you do?
I did really well. I had such a great day. So did Isabella. I just kept thinking, so you start with a 2.4 mile swim in the ocean, which I was a little like, okay, I don't know, but challenge yourself, you do it. That went really well. Was very happy with my time. And then when I got out on the bike, I just told myself, this is the day of celebrating the work that I've put in. Yes, I want to do well. I had a time goal in mind, which I came close to, but it was more for me about enjoying the day. I didn't, like when you get married, and I tell young brides this all the time. Don't speed through that day and like try to take it in, try to remember what's going on. The same thing for me during the World Championships. Like I just tried to keep looking around. I'm in Hawaii. I'm at an
Wow.
epic race. At one
Wow.
point, I was passing a lot of other bike riders on the road, and I thought, Ciara, this is amazing. You are strong enough
Yes.
to be in the crowd with these women.
Yep.
You deserve a spot here. Look at this. This is amazing. So it was just a great day. And I think a lot of that was because of the attitude. Bella did the same thing. We just went in with an attitude of gratefulness to be there together. to be at that epic place. So it was pretty phenomenal. It was good.
That's
We were
awesome.
we were
Yeah.
quite sore after, but it was very good.
I'll bet. I'll bet.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just like you say, that your bodies, can
Yeah.
do this. It really
Yes.
is an amazing thing.
Yes. It
Good
was
for
so
you. Now,
good.
would you like to do it again?
So this coming year, we're going to focus on the half Ironman distance. Isabella qualified for Worlds in Spain with the USAT team. So she'll be going for the Olympic distance in the fall. And so because of that, we're both going to train at shorter distances. So Olympics and 70.3s. And then our goal would be that we both qualify for Ironman, half Ironman 70.3 in New Zealand next December. So she's going to Spain regardless. I'll be a spectator there. But hopefully we can both qualify and do another world championship together next year.
Amazing. That is so great. Good for you.
Thanks.
And
It's
what's
pretty
next
cool.
on the do you have another book in you?
I do. So I've started a couple actually. So this is a interesting, I love your perspective as someone who really helps authors. I have a couple ideas for the next book. One would be a business book that would go hand in hand with Inventory Genius, and one would be more of my story and a more holistic picture. So not just Ciara in business, but Ciara with Ironman, Ciara in life, Ciara as a mom, like all of these lessons, resiliency, those kinds of things. Which book do you think I should go after next? Because I have them both started. What do you think would make most
Wow, she's
sense?
got them both started.
Yeah,
Well, oh, that's tough because they're two completely
I
different
know. I know.
genres. Oh, gosh, I wonder if there's a way for you to combine the two because I like the idea of the personal stories with the lessons that you're trying to share and what you're trying to
Yeah,
teach, but they are two different things. I mean, the business side of me would say do the second part of the inventory book first.
yeah.
Finish
And just weave a
that.
little bit more story into it.
Yes. Yes. And then do the other kind of as a memoir, you know?
Yeah, and that might make sense from a marketing perspective too, because it'll build up more of a readership with the second business book. And then you have an even bigger list. So when you come out with like, and here's my entire story.
Yep.
Okay. Well, you're the expert. That's why I'm
Well,
talking to you.
well,
So
that's what I would do. Plus, there's a part of it that's selfish in that inventory genius was, you said, I call it pithy and powerful. And if you have something else that's going to help business owners,
yeah,
especially because that's, who you're serving right now, wow, get it out there because
yeah,
we talked about this before in our other interviews. You're not selling something when you write a book. You're sharing something that the intended reader already desires and already wants
yeah.
to hear. So if you've got more good stuff, I would say, get
Don't
that
hold
out
back.
first.
Don't
Yeah,
hold back. Yeah, I love that.
exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. And that can only help the memoir
yeah,
book, when you tell your story.
absolutely. Absolutely. Okay,
Thank
it's
you.
a
This was so
plan.
much fun. Thank you so much
Yeah,
for
thanks for
allowing
doing
me.
this. I loved having you on here. So, I know that there are people that are listening. I work with so many business owners. Yes, I sell inventory, but they have an education side. They offer classes. They have unique skills that should be written about. Can they work with you? Like, how can
Sure.
people work with you to get their story out,
Yeah,
to their
yeah,
audiences?
I write a Substack newsletter called Get Your Book Seen and Sold, and that's at claudinewolk.substack.com, and a podcast as well, Get Your Book
Okay.
Seen and Sold. So the podcast is anywhere you listen to podcasts, but it is part of the Substack newsletter. So you can sign up for my newsletter and get all kinds of free information about book marketing. And I really tend to narrow my focus to beginners
Okay.
because my theory is if you want to write a book, and if I get you from the beginning and kind of introduce some basic book marketing concepts early, two things happen. Number one, you're not afraid to book
Yeah.
market, after you write the whole book a lot of times, and then they start book marketing, and they're like, oh my gosh, I don't want to start a whole new discipline.
Yeah.
I'm done. So you're not scared, but you're ahead of the game because you're thinking about, I like to say book marketing starts as soon as you write because you could be in an elevator sometime and somebody will say, oh, well, what do you do? And you're writing a book. Well, that could be your first book buyer,
Ah,
right?
yeah.
if you can take the time to narrow down what your book is about in 5 words, like for example, my book, Get Your Book Seen and Sold, I wrote a book to help authors to publish and market their book. How many words is
Yeah.
that, right? And then they know.
Yeah.
And then that's your first sale, perhaps. So as soon as you start writing, you can be marketing. Your book cover is marketing. Your back cover is marketing. All that stuff. So it all kind of works together. So I like to get them early. But I do work with authors who have already gotten a book out there and they kind of want to reassess what they've been
Yeah.
doing book marketing wise. But I do offer services. My website is claudinewolk.com, and there's a services tab, and you can see some of the things that I offer. What I like to do is kind of help an author decide what direction to go in.
Yeah.
So I don't know what to do. I have this book idea, what should I do? And then I send them in the right direction, and I show them all the great resources that have been vetted and the good ones out there, and I send them on their way. That's what I like to do.
I love it. So if any of you listening have a book in your mind, I know there are some of you. In fact, I've talked to a couple of my current clients in my mastermind who said, I'm going to write a book. I just don't know when, or they feel insecure. Am I good enough? You need to talk to Claudine. You just have
there
to.
you
So
go.
I'm going to put all your info in my show notes.
Thank you.
You'll be a great resource for my people. And then I want to read all your books. Like as you guys write your books, I love to read. Look behind me, all the books behind me. I love to read. I love to recommend good books, match them with people. So please share your journeys with us too, because we would love to help you promote your books. So good. So good. All right. Well, thanks for jumping on and taking over the reins today. It was really fun to be asked the questions. I loved it.
Thank you for having me, Ciara. Always great to see you, and congratulations.
Thank you. All right. We'll see you in 2024.
Sounds good.
Okay.
I'll be there.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in today to the Inventory Genius podcast. And I just really enjoyed this conversation. Of course, if you don't have my book, now you have to go get it. Get a copy for someone. What a great gift to give another small business owner in your community. The Inventory Genius book. I would love for you to get that. You can get the Audible version. You can get the ebook version, or of course, a good old fashioned print copy, which I would love to sign. Head on over to ciarastockeland.com. I will see you over there. All right. Bye for now.
Hey friend, thank you so much for tuning in today to the Inventory Genius podcast. If there's something that you heard today on the podcast episode and you want to dig deeper into becoming an inventory genius yourself, I want to invite you to head on over to my website, ciarastockeland.com, where I have multiple ways that you and I can work together on your inventory. I want to help you with your profit, your cash flow, and your paycheck, because at the end of the day, it's all related to your inventory. So head on over to the website, connect with me. I'll work with you soon. See you then. Hey friend, sometimes you just need a little bit of a push or a shove to get you going. Sometimes you just need a couple tips and tricks and a few tools to get you well on your way. If that sounds like you, if you've been tuning into the Inventory Genius podcast and you are ready to take action and you just need a little push or a shove, then I want you to head on over to ciarastockeland.com and sign up for the Quick Start. The Quick Start is a phenomenal way for you to get your feet wet when it comes to understanding your inventory, reading your financials, and building a profit plan for your inventory-based business. The Quick Start is simple and easy to use. Several recorded videos with tools and systems, with spreadsheets and worksheets. I lay it out so that it's quick, easy, bite-sized, actionable steps. I want you to start in one place and I want you to finish in another. I want you to accomplish what you set out to accomplish when you sign up for the Quick Start. So head on over to ciarastockeland.com. Check out the Quick Start Money Makeover. I think this is just the tool that you need to get you started.